Donald supported the invasion of Iraq.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually.
It has been just over an hour since the first presidential debate wrapped up, and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump did not disappoint tonight, going head-to-head in a debate that made history tonight, the first time a female took center stage.
So, and at this point in the campaign, nearly every word, every silence, every expression carries weight. Would you take a look at this poll? This is CNN poll, Colorado poll, and the candidates are separated by just 2 points here, well within the margin of error.
And we have team coverage for you about the issues you care about most from tonight's debate. Political reporter Marshall Zellinger is putting the candidate statements to the truth test.
Our political analysts are here breaking down who won round one. But first, Adam Hammond is on the CU Boulder campus hearing from young voters about this first debate. Adam?
Well, guys, earlier this room was packed with people. Now you can see it's pretty empty as the CU Boulder Political Science Department put on a debate watch party here. The room was pretty vocally behind Hillary Clinton. But once we got those voters one-on-one, I spoke with several who were actually independent-minded. They came in here undecided. They left undecided. In fact, some of them were turned off altogether.
I think I saw both sides sort of stoop down to levels that I already expected them to. No side won me over, most because of the fact that I don't think any side ever could.
And I think it was really interesting to see how the candidates have shifted in terms of their extremist views more to a more like moderate viewpoint, because at this point they're trying to get the independent voters, they're trying to get the mismatched candidates, the voters out there.
And honestly, Hillary Clinton's one of the least trustworthy people, in my opinion. Donald Trump, he doesn't know how to control his mouth.
I think Trump presented better than I thought he was going to, and Clinton presented about as well as I expected her to as well. So, still very much undecided.
So from what I heard here, not much changed because of the debate. And listen, the people here may not know the power they have in voting this time. We're getting some new information from Pew Research this year, and it shows that millennials, as far as eligible voters, make up 31% of all eligible voters. Now, baby boomers, which are typically the biggest voting bloc, also make up 31%. The only difference is these baby boomers are going to vote at a double rate than that of the millennials who are here tonight. Reporting at CU Boulder, I'm Adam Hammond.
We watched the debate together tonight. Were they both presidential, first of all? Laura?
So I think we got what we expected. Hillary Clinton was very prepared, very presidential. Donald Trump was Donald Trump. I think his supporters like that what you see is what you get with him. I think he was a little more restrained. He interrupted a little less frequently. And so I think we got what we expected tonight.
John?
I think Hillary Clinton looked presidential and acted presidential. I don't think that Donald Trump was within the stratosphere of it.
So clearly you think then Hillary Clinton won this debate?
I do. I mean, I think what Hillary Clinton was trying to do was to bridge this trust gap that people talk about, which is really hard to do. How do you earn somebody's trust? But I think part of the answer is answer the question that you were asked and answer it with specifics. And I think she did an awful lot of that. She wasn't perfect at it, but she did an awful lot of it. I don't think Mr. Trump did any of it.
Did Donald Trump win the debate?
You know, I would say we got what we expected, and it was nobody did themselves any harm. I don't think there was a clear winner.
Were there any good one-liners that stuck out for you?
You know, it seemed like the one-liners were rehearsed. I mean, I don't think there was anything that came out spontaneously as a great one-liner spontaneously. I mean, trumped up, trickle down, I mean, that's a great line, but clearly that's already out there, which isn't to say that it's not true and it's not good. It's just to say there wasn't anything spontaneous that either one of them elicited from the other.
Do you think they swayed anyone tonight with their performance?
I do, because I think she, for the most part, answered the questions that were asked, and I think that's one of the things that voters are really looking for. I don't want spin and you to answer the question you wanted asked instead of you answering the question that actually was asked. And I think she did an awful lot of that, and I think that will win her points.
Laura?
You know, and I think what you saw is Donald Trump is appealing to people who don't like politics as usual. People who've seen that for decades politicians have promised things and not delivered. And so he's giving his supporters what they want to hear is, I'm different.
But did he win anyone over tonight?
He could have, but I don't think either of them, I don't know that either of them, I disagree a little bit with John, I don't know that either of them won any new voters because I think they delivered what their constituencies wanted.
And there were a lot of facts thrown out around the debate tonight, but were they, you know, factual. Denver 7 political reporter Marshall Zellinger put the statements through the fact check. Marshall?
Can I just shrug my shoulder? Now, in a 90-minute debate, it's tough to pick what to break down, so I picked two statements from each side.
Our jobs are fleeing the country.
This needs more context. Based on the U.S. Department of Labor statistics, employment has steadily climbed since 2010. When you look at just manufacturing, there was a huge drop 10 years ago, but since 2010, that too has climbed.
When you have your staff taking the Fifth Amendment, taking the Fifth so they're not prosecuted, when you have the man that set up the illegal server taking the Fifth, I think it's disgraceful.
The point about the man working with Hillary Clinton's personal server pleading the Fifth, that's true. Two employees with Platte River Networks, which is based in the Denver area, pleaded the Fifth earlier this month when called to testify in front of a congressional committee, but they chose not to testify, which could have incriminated them later in court.
The gun epidemic is the leading cause of death of young African American men, more than the next 9 causes put together.
This is true, but also needs context. The Centers for Disease Control tracks mortality rates. Homicide is the leading cause of death for African American men between the age of 15 and 34. But for all ages, homicide is the 5th leading cause of death among African American men. Heart disease is first, overwhelmingly.
Donald was one of the people who rooted for the housing crisis.
This one's a little tricky. It's true, but PolitiFact also found he was talking about his investment advice in real estate and not rooting for the economy itself to crash. For more fact checks, PolitiFact is working overtime, and you can see more on the Denver 7 app and thedenverchannel.com. Ann?
Thanks, Marshall. As you saw, each of the candidates invited their own guests tonight. One of the more interesting choices came from Hillary Clinton. She invited Mark Cuban, who's been one of the most vocal critics of Donald Trump. Clinton also had a 9/11 survivor, a single mom, domestic violence survivor, and a 9-year-old with cerebral palsy. On Donald Trump's guest list was legendary basketball coach Bobby Knight, along with Rudy Giuliani, and the mother of a Navy SEAL who died in Afghanistan. Now, we don't have to wait long for round 2. The next presidential debate is next Tuesday, the 4th.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but here you go. And you can watch it right here on Denver 7, and it starts at 7.